Hey guys, welcome to Ace's Guitars. I'm a guy who likes working on guitars, watching people work on guitars, and I figured people might enjoy watching me work on guitars. So we're getting into part 2 of me relicking and modifying my blue Affinity series Stratocaster. In part 1, I did all the relicking of the body and neck. And now in part 2, I'm gonna get into soldering, I'm gonna get into the new gold hardware, and I'm gonna string this bad boy up, and hopefully at the end, I will have a working guitar with a brand new brushed gold EMG 81 pickup in it. So without further ado, let's get into my least favorite part of modifying guitars, soldering pickups. Today, I'm gonna take my boy Blue.
You're my boy, Blue!
We've got him nice and relicked up, and I want to get the pickup in. So the thing that started this entire project was this EMG 81 brushed gold plated. I found it, I forgot I had it for years, and then I said, I want to put this into a guitar. So I took this guitar that I never play, never use, and I have relicked it up, and I have made it worthy of putting this gold in. I have my diagram that I got online, printed it out. I got all my wires, I got my batteries, and then, yeah, I'm not leaving my workshop till it's done. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna give you hopefully some tips on how to solder. I'll probably learn some tips on how to solder while I'm doing it. Let's get into it. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm setting up my wiring to make sure that the wires are long enough, but not too long. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull them out, start soldering things together, and then put them into the Pickguard that I have here. So I have a 25K pot. You need to make sure when soldering that you have the correct pots, capacitors, all of that. The wires I have, these are 22 gauge wires. EMGs are active pickups, which means they have a preamp built inside. So you only need a 25K pot. Other passive pickups, things that come naturally in Epiphones, Strats, things like that, those are gonna use a 500K pot. While I'm only using a 25K pot because the preamp is pushing enough power that you don't need that much. So, fun fact, pots come in 2 different sizes. You can get a small size or a big size. It literally does not matter. I asked the guy at Guitar Center, I said, why wouldn't they just make them all small? It's easier to work with. And he said, people like big cars, big guns, all that stuff, so they like big pots. Whatever, I'm gonna use a small pot, put that where it goes, make sure that the wires are all gonna get there. Sweet. Now we start soldering. All right, so I don't have that many tips on soldering. Honestly, not my best thing. I don't love doing it, but big thing is you need to make sure that you get 60-40 solder, and it needs to be rosin core. That is very, very imperative. I looked it up. It said to use 22 gauge wire. So that's what I went and I bought at Home Depot in bulk, got the solder, got my cleaning for the soldering gun, got my soldering gun over here heating up. So the only real tip that I have thus far is tinning. So what you're gonna do to tin your wires before you solder them is you're going to strip them like I have here. You just use wire strippers, any kind. I have them on these nice little scissors that also cut cable. And you just get those, and what we're gonna do is we're going to pre-solder them. And when you pre-solder them, it's gonna help when you're actually soldering to connect them. So let me get this set up and I'll show you. All right, so I have my little helping hands here. These are really nice when you're trying to do wires. Trying to hold them and solder is very, very, very hard. So you can get this, it's Weller. I got it at like Home Depot for 15 bucks or something. And what you're gonna do is we're going to pre-solder our wire here. I'm just gonna hold the soldering gun on top of the wire and just lead it across the wire and get the wire nice and soldered up. Turn that off. Now, when you look at the wire and you can see it, there you go. It looks lighter because it is already covered in solder. So when I go to connect it to something with solder, the wire is already coated in it. It's gonna make it a stronger connection. There you go. That is my one big tip that I have for soldering.
If you're feeling bougie, you can buy pre-tinned wire.
All right, so I got my pot all soldered up. As you can see, the ground is going from the terminal to the top of the pot and is soldered onto, there you go, soldered onto the very top. So the best way to do that, take some sandpaper, rough up the pot because if it's just smooth, it's going to be harder to connect the solder to it. So as you can see, right here, I did it the first time, didn't roughen it up. It came right off. So I went, roughed up the pot with some sandpaper, then attached it on there, and that should be a pretty solid connection since the entire line on there is tinned. Should be good to go. So I ran into a small problem with wiring it. So the output jack right here, I got the nice gold plate, but an issue is that an output jack for an active pickup is very, very different than the output jack for a passive pickup. The output jack for a passive pickup is much, much smaller. So trying to put this in, it did not fit into the guitar. So I had to go in with my trusty wood chisel and literally chisel out a little cavity so that now I can put the input jack in. I had to chisel far enough to where the metal prongs are not going to be touching wood so that I don't have any shorts, don't have anything that could possibly get hot, which it's not going to get hot enough to melt or burn the wood, but you just want to be safe. So there you go. And now with everything else wired up, all I got to do is put all the grounds and hot lines to the input, and we should be ready to get this finally wired. Let's do it.
In the YouTube short I did on tinning, a lot of people commented that you want to get flux, you want to have a lot of flux on the wire, pre-flux your wire. The reason that I get rosin core is so that I don't necessarily need flux. And a cool thing is that a lot of pots for guitars, the casing is actually pre-fluxed.
Something that unfortunately happened is that the connector to the battery, because when you have active pickups, you have to have a 9-volt battery attached to them. The wire that grounds it came out, so I had to pop this open. I need to close that back up so that I don't have anything exposed. So I'm gonna go ahead and super glue that. But you know, you can always fix anything, right? You can always fix that. So it works because I realized that the hot wire was also not soldered very well, so I soldered that a little better. So here we go. Okay, so by some grace of God, I have gotten everything wired up in here. I don't know, the soldering didn't go poorly, you know, the tinning really helped. This is now here, so I got to drill a new hole here, get the pickguard on, get the pot through it. The pickguard actually does not fit the EMG currently. It's a little tight, so I got to sand this down so that it can fit, get it on there, and then we're going to go and put all the gold stuff that I got on there and drill it onto this guitar. We are close to finishing this, and it's bonkers. So let's do it.
The super glue didn't work, so I'm just going to use electrical tape to close this thing on the battery. I used sandpaper to try to open up the opening for the pickup, but honestly, just using a box cutter and scraping the plastic was a much faster and cleaner way to do it. The hole for the volume knob wasn't big enough, so I had to take it over to my drill press and make it just a little bit wider. The screws for my pickup are just a tad too long, so I end up having to use my drill to create some welds just so that they can sit in there. You want to be incredibly careful when drilling into a guitar body because certain parts are going to be much thinner than you think, and nobody wants to drill all the way through a body. So the battery was shaking around in the cavity, and you don't want that moving around. It could get disconnected, it could get damaged. So I actually used the dense foam that came with the EMG pickup, cut out some squares, and then screwed it into the body of the guitar just to keep some constant soft pressure on the battery and keep it from moving around. I then took a smaller piece, cut that in half so that it's not as thick, and put that on top so that when I put the pickguard over it, it was creating compression between the pickguard and the battery. A fairly consistent issue with third-party parts such as pickguards or bridges is that the holes might not always line up with the pre-drilled holes in your guitar. There's a bunch of tricks to fill the holes so that you can re-drill them. Some people will use toothpicks with super glue, other people will use wood glue. It's kind of just up to you, and then you just drill the new holes. For this guitar, the holes were off enough that I just drilled new holes. I got lucky enough that the bridge fit the holes that were already in the guitar perfectly. After the video, I ended up adding another spring because the bridge was getting just a little more lift than I wanted, so it put it in more tension to keep it closer to the body, thus lowering the action on the guitar. When you're putting the neck back on, you want to make sure that you hold the neck flush to the body, and you don't want to over tighten the screws because you do not want to strip those holes. Oh yeah, I had to get a slow-mo shot for this.
Okay guys, I've been working on this guitar, Blue,
You're my boy!
for like 4 weeks at this point, you know, things getting shipped in, all that stuff. And we finally have a full guitar. It's reliced, it's gold, it has the EMG 81 in it. I'm going to leave the back open. Actually, I like doing that. My other Strat is the same way. I think it looks cool to be able to see what's going on back there. Man, it all started with this EMG 81 pickup, and now I have this whole guitar, and all that's left is to put some strings on it. On the back, kind of showed it earlier, that is a custom neck plate from a company on Reverb called Guitar Heads, and I sent them a photo of Eddie Vedder, who is my all-time favorite singer. And you know, I felt like this relic guitar, I just wanted to put it on there. I have another guitar that has a Chris Cornell after he died. I love grunge, so that's really cool. I'm gonna link them in there. You can go buy, they have a bunch of those, and if you want a custom one, you just email them. But this thing looks crazy, guys. I think we're going to name it Eddie. I think this guitar is gonna be named Eddie because it has Eddie on it. Look at that neck, man. Look at that. Dude, this guitar looks so good right now. I cannot wait. I'm gonna string it up. Let's see if the electronics even work.
I plan on keeping this guitar in just standard tuning, so regular slinky, perfectly good. All the tools and hardware that I used in this video, I'm gonna go ahead and link in the description so that if you like anything that you see, you can go get exactly what I had. The knob turning and string clipping tool that I'm using is very cheap at Guitar Center. You can also get a bit that you can put on an impact driver or screwdriver to make it that much faster. The wire cutter on it isn't that great. That's why you see I have the Husky one that I got from Home Depot next to me.
Well, it's strung up. The guitar works. I plugged it into an amplifier. You can pick it up. It's playing. I played a couple songs. I do not have a way to play it on my laptop right now, so I'll try and figure that out. Man, this was super fun to make. A little stressful at times. The fact that we got this Relics guitar now, I'm so excited. It's gonna mount in my office where I have all my guitars on the wall. It's gonna be up above all of them on its side. Very excited. This is, well, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you would have done different. Let me know if I did anything wrong and that you want to correct me. I know people enjoy that. So I'm gonna go have fun with this. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Ace's Guitars.